Good morning, tree farm enthusiasts. Here at Bluebird Summit, we're going to give you an idea about what's going on a given day in the spring. And we've got presently, the important topic at hand is to plant 15,000 trees. Let me say that again, 15,000 trees have to be planted within about a 4-day period of time. And luckily we've got great weather, but the first thing that we have to do is proper prep of the trees. And you can see we've got two different piles of trees here, and the trees come from a nursery, Griffith Nursery over in Wisconsin Rapids, for those of you who are familiar with Wisconsin. The trees come in boxes, wax boxes, they're sealed tight, and they have to be planted generally within about 14 days. But the very first thing you have to do is you have to get the trees out and get them on a table and get them prepped for planting. And we'll show you the planting a little later on. But these are red pine, long needle red pine. They come out of that box and they're nice and moist, but all the roots are all tangled up, okay? They're all tangled together. And these have to be stuffed in the ground with a slit that's created by a tree planter. And you'll see how that goes here in a minute when we go out to the tree planter. But to begin with, these have to be separated. We take these apart so that they're not all tangled together, because again, this tree planter is going along at a pretty good clip. And now they have to be put into the ground. So that's one thing that has to be done. They have to be separated. And then finally, they get clumped up and we together as one. All but a third coming up from the bottom, a third of this root system can be trimmed off. So right about there can be trimmed off and trimmed up on the sides a little bit so that they go into the ground nice and easy. Because what you don't want to have happen is if you've got a great big long root like one of these, and it gets put in there and it gets folded up like this, that's called a J-root. That is not helpful. So in order to prevent against that from happening, what we do is we just cut off about a third of that. And now it's ready to go into the ground. Now, that's the same for the red pine, as well as the black walnut. We have boxes of black walnut as well. So we'll show you how to work with those out in the field, but that is a big part of proper planting, is to have proper preparation so that again these trees go into the ground appropriately and within a 15-day period of time. And then finally, when we've done with them here, we'll put them back in the box, put them in the wagon, put a little water in here to make sure that these roots are nice and moist and they aren't out in the open air and get dried out. Nothing's worse for a bare root tree, and these are bare root, than having them dry out and get too moist or take the moisture out of the roots. So with that, Chad, anything to add?
It pretty much covers it, but to add to the fact that just as you're going along with the tree planter, it makes things difficult when these are directly out of the box and unclipped and tangled together, because as you're going along, you're trying to rip them apart and they're catching, and this whole time you're losing time and space on actually dropping these into the ground. So there's a value in separating them out and then going through and taking all this excess root that is unnecessary and actually creates opportunity for disease with the J root, as my dad had mentioned.